Do you remember who your first girlfriend was in high school? Or the girlfriend the most standout girlfriend in high school?
Yeah, well, I had a couple of them, I guess, and I don't know that it was distinguishable.
Okay. I've heard over the years a lot of odd jobs that you did throughout high school. One summer you did shoveled coal, I think, or was that in college on the St. Lawrence River? What were some of the jobs besides the soda jerk that you had?
Oh, shoveling coal was on a lake freighter. Friends of mine, anyway, one of the boys I went to school with, Adam Cornelius, his father owned half of the Bolin Cornelius freight line on the Great Lakes, and therefore it was easy to get for me to get a job on a freighter. And a freighter consisted in those days a real long boat, and you've probably seen them today with a boom all the way along the deck, and then it swings out to shore so that the cargo goes off in one day instead of scooping it out as they used to do and move the boat back and forth, keep an even keel, and it would take almost a week to empty a Great Lakes freighter. Now they do it in 24 hours. And unfortunately, to do that, the hold was built so that it sloped to the center. And then there was this conveyor that ran from one end of the boat to the other, and either coal or ore drifted down onto this thing, and it carried up to the front, the forepart, where it was going in the wrong direction. So it met short conveyors going out to the side, and those conveyors dumped into buckets. The buckets went up, and they hit a conveyor up on top, and out it went. And it was a continuous flow. Of course, down there in the hold, every time I made a transfer, it dropped some coal or some ore. So who was down there shoveling it back onto the conveyor? But the deckhands, and I was the deckhand. So I was shoveling coal or ore, depending on what we carried.
And that was what year? I'm sorry.
That was one of my jobs. The best job was second cook. That was a breeze, because I really wasn't. I went on as a kid, and they signed me to the cook, who was a wonderful old man, and he was glad to get some help, and he called me his second cook. So I got off the ship with a rating as second cook. But I still have the papers, I think. So I spent a summer riding the Great Lakes. Wonderful time. I'll never forget, sitting on the after deck after dinner in the evening, and on the Great Lakes, going from Lake Ontario all the way to Duluth and Superior, and wonderful weather in the summertime. Anyway, but you got paid $2 a day or $60 a month. The value of it was, of course, I could tuck it all away. I had my room and my board.
Sure.
And I didn't spend any. I had a reputation for saving every nickel I ever owned. When I was a kid in high school.
Well, that's not a bad reputation to have, that's not a bad reputation to have,
No,
especially these days.
probably not, no.
So, tell me a little about this trip you took across country. What year was it? Who'd you go with? What happened?
Oh, well, there was a Canadian boy who came to school in Buffalo. I think his father had a job there as a carpenter at the time, and his name was Billy Little, and somehow, because he saved his money, he acquired this Model T Ford touring car for something like $220. That was a lot of money in those days, but it was in good shape, and so Billy asked me if I wanted to. His father by that time had a job in Edmonton, Calgary, so would I like to ride across the country with him? And so this was at the beginning of a school year, and as I say, I saved the money to pay for the trip, and then I had a good friend, Ed May, who went to Canisius High School, which was the Catholic high school, Canisius High School, Canisius College, meaning nothing except that we were good friends, although I went one way and he went the other way out of grammar school. So I got him to go, and then we dragooned a fourth. So there were four of us, and my father bought 4 new tires for us. Thank God, you know, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to the Model T. So the 4 of us, and I had never driven a car. I was 16, 17 years old. I was still in high school, and we left Buffalo. Billy Little was driving, and headed went to Toronto, and then straight north to North Bay, which was a couple of 200-300 miles north of Toronto. And so it came my turn, so I sat behind the wheel and almost ran us into the ditch, recovered, and there was no traffic in those days. Here we're going up into Canada on a 2-lane road, and if you saw a car once in a while, that was a lot. You gotta remember, this is in the 20s.
Sure.
There weren't that many cars around. So we went up to North Bay, and then turned directly to left. We were on a line with Detroit. So our method of getting to Detroit was through Canada. The owner of the car was a Canadian, you know, so that we were headed through Canada. From Detroit, we took the southern route. It was the shortest, around Lake Michigan and Lake Superior to Duluth, at which point we headed into Canada again. I've forgotten, you know, the provinces are Saskatchewan and Winnipeg and you name it. We went one right after the other out to Edmonton. Had no problem.